Okay, so we are very honored have Professor Hu here as a director of the Institute for Higher Education Research and Development, also as a director of Educational Research Center and chair professor of Learning Science and Technologies from PolyU here to give us a speech. Okay, sharing. Yeah. So thank you, Professor Hu. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, oh, I don't know.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to share with some of my experiences. And when I was preparing my talk, I find that some of my lessons learned or experiences back 20 years ago is relevant. That's why I will send the slides to you. For my background, I'm a mathematician. Oh, I was mathematician, and I've been in U.S. for over 37 years. I just joined the PolyU last year, so within a year, less than a year. In my previous work, I was trained as a mathematician, but I got my PhD in psychology. But I'm a faculty member as a computer engineering, computer sciences, and psychology. One thing that I have experienced relevant to this one, since 2001, I was the director of U.S. DoD Advanced Distributed Learning Lab, specifically for Workforce Collab. So other than my research, my part of my work is looking at how to train workforce, specifically how to use technology. And one of the things that I do work with friends is actually looking at the standards of workforce training. Okay. Now, when you talk about standards, there are several kind of standards. You have data standards, content standards, and including certification. Now, U.S., you know that people are mobile, right? So in other words, I'm working with one company, even as a doctor, very highly paid profession. I could perform my job in one hospital, and then I want to perform, up in another hospital, and then I need to be certified. Otherwise, I cannot do my job. They mandated for any individual to pass certain, things in order to do the work. So I work with a few colleagues of mine. One of them is Robbie Robertson. He actually just, if I remember correctly, he just finished one of an NSF grant called a Skill Sync. He's actually looking at the corporations, how to automatically, you just give your whatever training record you have, and automatically matching whether you certified or qualified to do work for the next company or industry you do. So in other words, it's not from university, but the kind of work is a similar. Okay. So I can, but today I'm going to talk about a little bit different, because I know that as in our business, we get students enrolled, but I think we also pay attention to how do they learn. If they come in, even on paper, they say, "Oh, you're qualified to go to this university," but actually, can you finish or not? It's really depending on your qualification, whether you have the skills or not. How can people from diverse background, especially academic background, perform or success in a new school? That is actually a challenge. This challenge is probably even bigger than what you get them to the school, okay? Because their success is at stake. It's not like whether they just get in. So what I'm going to share today is something that I did a while back in U.S. when I was teaching, okay? So in my background, I'm gonna go through the slides. I only have 40 minutes, and then I'm gonna try to see whether I'm trying to stay relevant. Here's something that we had. This slides probably you already seen in the U.S. is called achievement gaps. In the U.S. we have black and white, right? You probably say, well, this is discrimination, but this is a fact. The black students, their academic performance is never as good as white students. Okay, that's called achievement gap. But I did not know when I was teaching. Okay, because here's the story. So in 2004 and 5, my chair says, "Oh, since I'm doing technology, why don't you teach I teach statistics course. See, a statistics course using this, something called Alex. Have anybody heard of Alex? Alex it's a software called Assessment of Learning in Knowledge Space. The reason I use Alex because the theory of knowledge space was originally invented by one of my mentor, and then McGraw-Hill made the software out of teaching. This actually started in late 90s. It's actually a program very, very intuitively designed. He decomposed the specific domain like mathematics with decompose it in a smaller unit, reorganize based on prerequisite. Okay, for example, if I want to learn two digits multiplication, I have to know how to do one single digits. Now imagining like mathematics or physics or chemistry, all those STEM courses, you always can decompose them. Now that's not necessarily easy for history or other kind of domains, but for STEM, you always can do that. So Alex it's a knowledge space is actually it's a theory in the combinatorics as algebra theory. They designed this one. It's actually one of the most popular core software in US. Okay. So I use it for teaching statistics. And then, I'm more very engaged professor teacher. So when I teach, I try to do eye contact with my student. Okay. I notice we have a black student and white student. So when I ready to ask questions, I stare and I say, okay, you ask a question. The black student usually like they do this. I know they're not ready, right? They avoid your stares or your eye contact. And then I can tell that they're behind. They cannot answer my question. They're either not ready or they do not have time to review, right? So that's what I observed, but I never pay attention to that. I never pay attention. But when I use this online course, because at that time you do online, and also when you do test, you need to proctor. You need to proctor your test. So I have a student come in, I kind of having my educated guess. I said, oh, he's not going to make it. Okay. But it's actually to my surprise, some of the African American students actually did very well. I said, this is, then I started skeptical to my own intuition. I said, it's interesting. Then I asked my university, I say, okay, every university have something called the institutional research office. You can go, you can ask the grades of all the students. As a professor, I say, hey, I give me all the grades that all the students I taught. I do not want to know their names. I want them to know whether they're black or white, and give me the grades, A, B, C, D. I was shocked because I started teaching in 93, okay? And that was 2004, right? That's like almost 10 years. I taught about, almost 800 to almost 1,000 students. I consistently give one letter grade lower to African American students. As a Chinese, if I'm white, if I did not know I'm white, I would be in trouble, right? Because then I say, well, white and black, I don't care. If you do not do well, you do not do well, right? And I did not know that was actually achievement gap. So I find one of my best colleagues. I say, I think I'm in trouble because I'm consistently giving lower grades to my, African American student. And then my colleague, he's a professor, white professor. Are you kidding? Everybody knows about it. That's called achievement gap. So he gave me those statistics from middle school, high school, and college. So this is a typical kind of that from NAEP, National Educational Program. All right, so it's called the eighth graders. This is across the year. Okay, there's no sign of reducing, no matter how much money that the Department of Education spend. There's almost no sign of reducing the gap. In other words, it's almost like a fixed phenomenon. Okay, and then I'm relieved. I say, I'm okay. Nobody can go after me because I'm it's not my problem. But I do find out, the way that I teach you in technology, that gap reduced, because I actually think somebody should fail, because in my lecture class, they actually should fail, but they did not. Okay. So that is the starting of the story. So here I'm going to give you some background. So this achievement gap. So now, when you were asking me about this, I said, how can I make myself relevant? I know that we have, senior year admission, from different background. They probably have different academic, foundation for people they get in, or they're from one institution. They're different from the target this institution. They do not, what they're going to do. So that almost mimic the kind of situation that I have in U.S. So that's why I choose this topic. So here it's the gap. I'm going to go through very, very quick. Yeah. So there are a lot of issues. Now, remember, this is really back to the issue from U.S., from the United States. You have racial ethnic achievement gaps. Okay. Now in Hong Kong, we may or may not have those kind of issues, because we do have students come from other, minority groups from mainland or from other places. We cannot simply assume they are unified or they're identical. They can't. They have differences. Okay. You have others. Okay. Come on. They have just, yeah. Okay. So okay, let me try one more time. So you have other, like economic or social economic kind of issues or the differences. All those are contributed to the achievement gaps. Okay. And also you have gender achievement gaps as well, male, female. Okay. And you have language and special educational. Yeah. Okay. So, and also you have in US, you have a Hispanic, or you have other, cultural or language background. So they go to a school, they cannot be, you cannot assume they're equal. Okay. So all those things are actually contribute to this kind of gap. Okay. So it is, they always says that the educational problem is not educational problem. Okay. What do we observe in education? The problem is not really educational problem. It's actually, well, a lot of other issues. Okay. So work. So in other words, now if you look at the cost of this achievement gap, we need to have the mouse of it too. Yeah. I can stand over here. Yeah, let me stand over here. Okay. So you have structural inequalities. Now, for those of you follow U.S. politics right now, there's a lot of drama there. So there are structural inequalities. So social economic factors and the cultural linguistic barriers. All those things are cause of this. Okay. So now so in other words, that's the observation we have. There's a social issues. This is the Alex, okay, assessment of learning in knowledge space. It's actually one of the things that I tried. So here's basically what this one does. For those of you that do not know, this is I always think Alex system. They started in '96. It's almost like an iPhone 1. Okay. It's the starting of this learning technology. Right now, they have better ones, compared to iPhone 1 versus iPhone 16. We have generations of improvement, but this is actually started of the technology using adaptive. Okay. They're still existing. They improve a lot, but that time it's actually very, very primitive. Okay. So here's what I have. So here's my data. So remember, I have the following, right? I have 2004 5 and 6, I have 3 years. I have about a few hundred students. So, and also I have a student way back. So when I compare that the tech before no technology, the z-score of their score, this is white and this is black. Okay, no technology. And then with technology, if I also covariant with their entrance ACT score, black student actually did better. Okay, now that is something that I was, on one hand, I find out that something that I was never aware. On the other hand, I was so excited. I said, you know what? Do I have the key to solve the social problem? Because remember, the achievement gap is it's like a social problem because you end up having a lot of issues if they fail academically. They cannot find a job. They're on social welfare. In other words, there are a lot of issues, right? And then I say, oh, that's great. I probably find that the key for technology is the key. And later, I also got an advocacy grant from NSF, from IES, about $2 million. So this one actually, for those this I said, okay, I need to do something. I wrote a chapter. I also edited a book on this one. This is way back. This, after the thing. Now you can see why this is happening. Why does it happen? This is actually typical data from Alex. Okay, basically what Alex does the following. Okay, as all the ITS system, you can go in, the system going to give you assessment. If you're behind, you catch up. Okay, and then because this is adaptive system, no matter how big how many content. So Alex in statistics is about 119 knowledge components. Okay, every time if you spend 20 if you learn 20 items or 5 hours, it's going to reassess again. Okay, when it reassess, it's give you at most about 16 items. even you have like 119 topics, give you less than 20 items, going to assess you, pinpoint exactly where you are, and start to teach you. Okay, for those of you who want to know details, I know the details, I can tell you. But anyway, that's not important. The most important is I want to say why the student actually behind actually catching up. Okay, here's an example student. This is an example student. This is a student, I think her name is Kendra. This is 2004, session 3 of my class. Okay, this is their initial assessment. Okay, initial assessment was about 19 topics. This student failed the initial assessment. Now, if you say, what is the initial assessment? What's the content? Let me tell you what the content of initial assessment. Order of operations, order of operations as one of the initial assessment. And then decimal places values, converting between percentage and decibels. Those are the initial assessment. This is more like a middle school math or even 5th grade math. They forget. In other words, now you see that's how poor when the student come in. Now, this student probably he's not like a regular student. It's actually from work, decide to get a degree. Okay. And then the same student, the same data, this is at the end of the semester. He got 87%. And then this 80%, 87%, including what kind of content? Hand calculation of ANOVA. Think about it. If I challenge you, any of you still know how to do hand calculation of ANOVA, you probably don't. He can do. So this is what they have. They cover 80%. This is actually a lot. They have 80%, 87% of this covered by hand. Then I say, that's amazing. That's already like a story. Now I look at it. This is the number of hours they spend. 210 hours. Remember, this is online. Every minute count. Every minute count. 210 hours in a semester of 14 weeks. For a student, this student actually have children, working on maybe 2 jobs, and then spend 210 hours on a 14-week semester. On average, real time on a computer is about 15 hours. And this student actually got in, he's not going to get an A, because for me, getting A, you need to get, you need to do a little bit better, 95%. But now you realize this student determined to be successful, spend a lot of time. I was so moved when I look at this one. Okay. So he decided to do things. Is the technology allow the student to be successful? Okay, very much behind, because even in a regular case, this student will never even imagine, because statistics, one of the hardest course, can even not imagine to pass this course at all. He got a B, a high B, from that poor initial assessment. Okay. Now that is very, very, that story actually makes me motivated. So in 2008, 2009, that this is actually 2000, 2005 and 4. So I also did another thing. So this is actually for another study that I did. I got because of that inspiring kind of experience I had. I said, okay, I probably have the key to the social problem for U.S. And then I applied an IES grant, and a U.S. IES grant. I said I want to find how technology change, like reducing achievement gaps in middle schools. Okay, so now you can imagine how funny it is, right? A Chinese and go to rural area of U.S. in the middle of nowhere, almost entire, city are, white or black. And then I go there, I go to the gym and then ask them to do, oh, you do math. And then I actually I hire a school bus. I hire school bus. I hire teachers. I got a 2.4 million US dollars to do the intervention for 4 years. We observed similar data, but not as strong as this one, because there was a kind of special for the high school versus college. So actually, we had a paper. This is my student wrote a paper on this. You can check. Okay, so that's the story. So in other words, I am convinced. That's why also from that time on, I'm really motivated to do technology, because educational problem is not an educational problem, right? But if we can use technology to help, why not? Okay. So I think that story is relevant to what we have facing. We get students into college. Our primary goal is make them successful. But if we actually get them, if they cannot finish, or they fail, we do not know what we're doing, because I do have the story big in University of Memphis. I got students, my students. They're almost the same age as my age. They cry in my office. They cry in my office. They said, no idea who told me, who convinced me that says I am going to be successful, because I'm suffering. No matter how hard I try, I will not pass, because I do not have enough knowledge. Okay. So they said I will be much better off open a barber shop, or having a garage, instead of suffering through, and somebody convinced that I can have degree, but I just can't. They cry, and it's very, very sad story. So you get them to the place that they think they have a hope, but they cannot complete. That's actually, that make me even doubt ourselves, our effort. Are we making people happy, or making people miserable? Okay. So how can we do that? So I think we just need help. We get them to the place where they can success, but that's not the stop. We just need to continue. Okay. So that's the first part of the story. The message is technology, if we use it right, will help, given the students want to learn. If the student do not want to learn, you know, if the student do not want to learn, you put a gun in their head, you're not going to learn, right? So that's under the assumption that student wants to learn, and how can we help, especially in a time of AI. We have much better technology than we had before, back 20 years ago. So here's the next part of my talk. I do want to have somebody remind me the time, because when I start talking, I forget the time. Okay. So here we got this AI. Everybody, you are talking about, we just have this monster. This is the elephant in the room. They literally destroy everything. Just, jobs, reclassified, and education is actually probably the first one, because this one coming in pretending knows everything, right? And then make a lot of professors like an idiot. We do not know much. Okay, how can we use it and then empower ourselves and also help students? So that's the message for the next part. So basically, when we talk about AI, this elephant, destroy. This is actually this one is made by AI. I say, okay, give me a picture of elephant in the room, and the room is classroom with a lot of learning technologies. I want you to show the destroying everything. That's what this one gave to me. Okay. But when we talk about AI, for those of you that know AI, this is probably redundant, but for those of you not familiar, actually there are different type of AI that we're talking about. The first type is actually foundational AI, which is what we hear every day. The OpenAI, Sora, or whatever. That's the foundational level AI. Okay, that AI has a lot of potentials, make everybody excited, make all disappointed because it's hallucinate, and then do all those things that we say, oh, it's not going to be good for teachings and so forth. But that is no longer the case, because AI getting better and better. But most application is actually the second level of AI, is actually called the agents. It's really putting the AI together, work as a team to work with you. Okay, so right now when we use AI, we probably just simply use, go to a website, go to PolyU or something like that, we just ask a question. That is not the way that you use for education, or not even with the way you use it at all. Okay, the way you use it is almost like in my generation. We have something called the cybernetics. Okay, what is the cybernetics? You have an assembly line. Okay, so ordinarily you say, oh, this is a break, and the human over there are going to be to fix it and make the system go again. But cybernetics is actually using a lot of embedded computing and just putting a chip over there and perform logic operations what human would. Okay. In education, it's almost the same. So if you really think about it, what is education? Education is actually a knowledge supply chain. Okay, I prepare a PowerPoint, I deliver this one, and then it's the product, it's the knowledge, and I deliver to the student. So it's knowledge supply chain, or it's a logistics that almost parallel to our physical logistic supply chains. Okay, so you wanted to use this one for education. You almost want to use the way that we use, like in the cybernetics. You say, whenever there is a human teachers needed, we use this AI to do it. Important place, we use expensive AI. Not a very important place, you use less expensive AI. So that's the kind of agents, like a kind of analogy. So that's the second level. So as soon as you have the second level, all the comments about, oh, AI is not going to be useful, AI is going to be it's not doing well, that argument is gone, because It's almost like I make mistakes, but you have 20 Doctor Who together, unlikely to make mistakes, the same mistake, because we all contribute on a different aspect of the decision process. The same way, that's what the agents does. Okay, right now, if you look at some more advanced AI, that actually does that. Now, of course, in our case, it's the third level. We actually have the application level. Okay, so we make it as an application. Okay, so now you have this one, and still, that's I'm doing some kind of popular science kind of talk. So still, you have those ones, still have issues, and we still question what AI can do. Okay, what is the issues with AI? Not necessarily the AI cannot do what they're supposed to do. It's AI probably do some harm for humans. Okay, so that's what I want to have. This one is a promise, potential, and the virtues. So basically, what you can do, the promise, I, remember I say I'm a computer science and computer engineering professor. I want to push the boundary. I want to say how good this one is. I try, and also I do learning systems. I say, hey, everybody said AI is smart. I want to say how smart it is, because in our case, if it's a smart, it actually can pretend it's as a human, right? Humans are smart. But in my case, in learning, I say, no, you need to mimic teacher. When teacher giving lecture, sometimes I play smart. Sometimes I play stupid. Okay? Sometimes I play innocent. Okay? And sometimes I moderate people to debate. So there are a lot of roles the teacher would play. I say, hey, can I make AI to do that? Okay. I was able to make AI to do every single one of those. Play smart, play dumb, play innocent, every single one of them. So, and also, if you say, well, they can play roles, can they do education? Can they do things like experience the teacher would? Okay, I say, okay, I'm going to try. So in the American Psychological Association, they have a group of kind of psychologists. They summarize the principles of teaching and learning from K to K to 12. They have a total of 20 principles. You can check this. Actually very popular. For all those experienced teachers, they make this one as a desk topic because actually it's a guide. I was able to do every single one until the 12th. Okay. That is very, very, on one hand, given that, when I was saying education, technology can help, this one even too much help is getting the teacher out of jobs, right? Even for the 2004, 2005, I actually give lectures when they do not understand. I help explain. This one actually explains for you. That's just crazy. Okay. And then it's, in other words, from the AI perspective, it actually can do a lot of things. Okay. So the next question is, it can do a lot of things. Are we allowed it to do? That's another question. 5 minutes. Okay. So, so I'm going to go faster. So this is can, but actually there's issues called the potential things. If we really rely on this thing here, you actually have issues. Actually, last Saturday we have this seminar that I organized. We got those four of them plus myself to give talks about the potential things. I just realized every single one of them is an egghead. But anyway, but in any event, no, not we try to identify some female professors, but they are occupied. But it's so funny that we all like this. Okay, so here's what the potential things that you have for AI. Okay, if we use the AI as extension of search engine, okay, you actually have a lot of issues. So here is the 8 fatal things that we have now. This one here, think about this. We give the critical thinking task to the machines, we're all getting dumb. Okay? Student getting dumb. In other words, it's almost like this. So if I go to gym, I'm supposed to build my muscle. Somebody say, "Oh, you don't have to do that. I just give you an outfit. You can pretend yourself very, very strong." Are they really strong? Not. That's exactly what the issues. Okay. So we cannot just let student to use. Even we have the student we say, "Oh, we're gonna help." It's not help them to pretend they know the stuff, because what the abuse of this AI is like a, here AI said, "I'm going to write it for you. I will summarize the paper for you. I will read and thing." And then in other words, that's bad for student. That's bad, right? So that's exactly what happened. You pretend you're strong, but actually you're weak. That's what's going to happen for this. That's the things. Okay. Now we have virtuals. In other words, now imagining everybody, if we say who actually in our career or our learning path help us the most, it's the inspirational teachers. The teacher make us to think and then make our mind strong. And who are they? Okay, they're the one that do not give you answers. They're the one that actually push you. Okay, so that's the virtual that we have. So I have another 2 minutes what I'm going to do. So in order to do this, so this is something that I built. Basically, since I'm doing this for the last, good part of my last 30 years of building tutoring system. So this is how tutor the human would, because the human use natural language, which is exactly what the large language model is good at. Okay, so we use this one to do this. So now I'm gonna do this. So this one here, I'm gonna just go through what this problem is gonna do, but nothing works better than a real demonstration. So I'm going to demonstrate this one for you. For example, if the student just simply come in, okay. Remember, the Alex, it's a student actually. If they're motivated, they can go and learn. Okay. So now let's imagine that I am one of those SYA, in a college. I'm motivated. Of course, I can go to course catalog. I can go and learn. But who's offering? We need to have offering. And also, even it's offering, am I, ready to learn to take the class? Okay. So now let's see how technology will help. So here's there are two modes. For example, if I know exactly what I'm going to teaching, so for example, I'm going to use English, or I'm going to use any other language. I can use Chinese, or I can use, for now, I'm going to use the English. So I say exactly what I need to learn. For example, if I'm going to go to nursing, okay, and then you say, well, I want to learn, I'm going to the nursing school and I'm trying to say, geriatric or clinical care nursing, okay. And then what you want to learn, because if I say I'm weak on certain aspect of my knowledge, so I'm going to say, imagine that I actually know what my learning objective is. So this is what they're going to have. So now this one here is ready to did everything. I'm going to just click through on this one. Okay. And then, for example, college students or any other kind of nursing educator, nursing student, let me see where the nursing students, new graduate nurse, newly graduate nurse, whatever you have, and now you can say, well, I want to learn this one in a interactive online course. So now you can do the following. So let me try to do this one. The first one is say how much you understand. So when you could do this one, it's actually give you assessment to see how well how much you understand. So here those are the concepts related to this. Right? So now let's go here, and now it's going to generate assessment. Okay. Now this general assessment is not just ordinary assessment. Okay. Any given question, first I'm going to ask it. You read this one. Are you feel familiar about this? You say yes. And then say, well, if you select a choice, they say, hey, you select choice, give me a reason. And if you say reason, give him a reason, and give him a confident. If you do this one, it's actually going to evaluate you based on what you have, and then give you a harder question if you so this one actually give you the analysis, says, hey, your choice of this one is incorrect. The reason selected is also not aligned with the primary purpose of people. And then give you the analysis. Okay, you can do this. Now, this is assessment. So after you do assessment, so you can choose another thing here and say, hey, I want to be I know nothing. I actually know nothing about this the domain. I really want to see how people learn. Okay, so this is another mode called discussion mode, because I say I just want to sit in the classroom and see how other people learn. So this one actually give you an environment that mimic a realistic classroom interaction. Okay, so for example, in this case, so now you actually have a group of people that are actually discussing. So this is Alice, this is and then this is another one, and then now you can ask questions. You say, hey, I know nothing. I want you to discuss this concept. I observe what you learned. Okay, so after that, what you can do is actually go to the teaching. For example, in this one here, the Socratic method for teaching here. My time is up. Let me very, very quick. So now this one actually is a teaching. So he's actually giving you a scenario for you to, to teach you. Okay. So here it's so for example, like this. So now you can see that give you a scenario, ask you to answer the question. If you say, I do not know how to answer this question, then you said, okay, I want you to explain this thing here with the 5th grade level of reading level and be funny. Okay, so now if you click here, it's actually explain this scenario using 5th grade level of language and then using humorous ways of explain to you. Okay, and now if you say, okay, this one is great, so you do this and this, and then you still answer. Okay, so for example, you can have another one. So you say, now I want to answer. If I do not know how to answer, and the students say, okay, I'm going to give you a choices such that some of them are wrong answers, some of them are correct. So you can select any one, and now it's full up with your answers. And also there is games and so on and so forth. You can have the games. The other thing is like I am not a student. I do not know what I want to learn. I just want to know. I just want to have a problem. Or so, for example, here I say, hey, I actually have a problem understanding type 1, type 2 errors. Okay, and then this one going to generate a set of learning environment for you, scenario based for you to learn. And then now this system actually conduct interaction with the student, and this one automatically evaluate how competent the student is and how hard that specific concept for this student. Okay, so this is upgrade, a lot of upgrading than the ALEKS system that we already observed can reduce the achievement gap. Again, technology will be able to help, and we just have to use it in the right fashion.